All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Reshma Krishnamurthy here from Mums and Stories. We are a platform for mothers and children, and we, as a platform, we do organize various initiatives. Among them, since the time of 2020, we've been organizing events and in the pandemic, it is in the form of online events that we are carrying through. So I have today, as part of our online initiative, in fact, a couple of people, couple of moms, women have shown interest in this particular event, considering that a lot of women shy away from the topic of finance, including me. So I'm slowly moving aside due to certain personal situations, and when you know that you cannot shy away from it forever. You need to take responsibility for it. So this is for that. Today we have Preetha Wali. She is the co-founder at Paid Forward, and it's a great team where they are involved in educating individuals on finance. So hi Preetha, welcome to Mums and Stories.
Hi, Reshma. Thanks for having me over.
All right. So first things first, why did you even think of starting something like Paid Forward? Um, are many people, many women, men and women, very financially unaware? That's what you find, or is it generally in every household one person takes the charge?
So actually, there are multiple reasons, Reshma. So it's starting with why we started this entire venture is that about 5-7 years ago,
Okay.
I had shifted to Bangalore and I was teaching basics of understanding stock markets and things like that to women. Then two of my friends and me got together, and we realized that we can reach a larger number of people if we work with corporates and and we talk about personal finance more than just stock market, because personal finance affects everybody, man, woman, child, right? So when we started doing our research for that, what we discovered is personal finance is a topic that a lot of women shy away from, for the reason that they believe that there are some stereotypes around it. So it could be a very generic reason, like the fact that typically men have been handling a topic like this. It could be father, brother, husband, after that son after a certain age. But somehow the fact that women need to take charge, or women need to be as proactive, has never come forward for various reasons. Not to make a judgment on that, but the point is, what we found is women shy away from it. Women think it is difficult to understand. Women think, I already have so much to handle, because we multitask so much in our lives. So they tend to shy away from it, saying, okay, let me do it later, or I someone else is managing, so why do I need to, right? Why do I need to take on one more responsibility, kind of a thing. The other aspect is, what we found is that a lot of women are the ones who face actually problems if there is an issue in the family. Say, for
Yeah.
example, disputes in the family, divorce rates, single mothers, and they're quite lost, because they've not they're not even aware of what is there in the family. It could be in the form of assets, it could be in the form of liabilities also, which will come on you, and you've signed off papers and things like that. So we ventured, saying that, okay, let's do this session where we are explaining basics in a simplified manner, because one of the reasons people says, oh, it's difficult to understand, there's so much of number crunching, or so many aspects to a particular financial asset. So we said, okay, we'll simplify it, and we started, doing these sessions, where we started having games in the sessions. So when we were doing in-person sessions, we play games to explain some basic concepts around personal finance, and that got a lot of good reviews from women. So when we were working with corporate, some of them asked, why are you doing this only for women? Why not men? That set is actually thinking that actually nobody teaches the men either. If you actually look at it, a man, it's kind of an understood role that he needs to take on, thrust upon by society, and the traditions and things like that, as much as woman has to take on the motherly role, kind of a thing, which is an
I was just
unspoken.
thinking about it. Yes.
Yeah. So similarly, the man has been kind of given this, and largely that continues. And when we kind of speak to them, we realize that people have told you where to invest, as in like, okay, save tax by buying this particular insurance or this particular mutual fund, or they've been told like, okay, buy a house because it gives you some kind of comfort. But how many people have actually been told this is how you need to start and this is how you need to go in a financial journey? It's not a once off thing, right? It's like for
Yeah.
ever. So the point is, how do you start? How do you, plan for your life goals? All of us have such big dreams for ourselves, our families, our children. We also have we have rising expenses everywhere. Nobody has taught you how to handle all that. So when we broke it down, we realized everybody needs it. It's not just women. It's just that with women, it's more in the front, because they're not part of it largely. But the good thing I'd like to leave with a small positive note, that the younger generation, the women are also looking at personal finance. That's the good thing.
What are the first few steps that one needs to take? I'm talking particularly about, I know a lot of stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home women, and they probably get a budget, to run the household and stuff like that. They're not earning.
Right.
So, do they need to talk to a family member, the person who's, the breadwinner of the families, that I need to be investing in something like this. I need to be saving my own personal money, and this is not for entertainment, but this is more for savings. And how does one go about it?
So there are again various aspects to it. So first thing probably can be, start by reading a little bit. In case you feel underconfident today, you're not
Yeah.
sure as to what exactly is, say, for example, an insurance product. How am I supposed to understand a complex product like an insurance is health insurance, especially, is very complicated. So how do I understand? But today, in the day of Google, you can't say that I don't understand and just sit back about it. If you really want to know, it's all over, all on online. And all of us have become much more tech savvy today thanks to COVID, right? I mean, we're online today, speaking like this, and we've reached out to international audiences, all that thanks to COVID, in a way, you can say. So you cannot today say that I don't have a way to know, nobody will tell me. It's on your phone. You don't need to, don't even need a laptop. So first is learn a few basics, at least even words which are thrown at us, like understanding inflation, understanding what exactly is, what kind of insurance is required. It will take time. We unnecessarily putting pressure on yourself that I need to read and immediately understand is not going to work if you've never been, been in the field of finance, or you've never taken interest at all. Start with something basic. Say, for example, start with an FD. India has most Indians have an FD. 70% at least have a large chunk of their money in FDs. So we are saying now, start, understand an FD first of all. Do we understand FDs? Actually, a lot of us don't understand that by blocking our money in FDs, we might be actually losing out. We just think, oh, the money is there. So try and see what is it that she said. Let me just go and Google it now. What did she mean by saying even if I put money in an FD, I'm losing it up? Start there. Start with some basic knowledge, because many times if you just suddenly go and say, hey, listen, just tell me where are all our money, where is it, all the
Yes.
investments and all. It's a much longer process. Even if the husband or the brother or father, whoever wants to tell you, it is a longer process to sit down and explain certain things to you, why they did something, the rationale for it, or maybe there were some mistakes along the way. So first is to have that first step of knowledge. Second thing is to try and sit down and have a conversation with the person who's managing the money, saying, can you just tell me where are all the assets and liabilities? So what has happened is, say, COVID, for example, is a good time to say that there have been, maybe the earning member has passed away. Maybe there have been some, earlier times, maybe there was an accident, and the person has passed away who's been handling the finances, even if they're not the earning member. What we found is sometimes you don't even know the passwords. And if you don't know passwords today, it is a tiring, tedious, and extremely frustrating process to access even a bank account.
Bank account.
So, and the second aspect is that a lot of us have loans, right? We've got home loans, We've got personal loans, all kinds of loans, EMIs, credit cards, so many payments. Even we are due to pay our taxes also. Suddenly, if
Exactly.
something happens to someone, so what do I do at that point? If I don't know there are these loans, typically what would happen is someone will come and take away whatever is there, right? Because the first person who has, who can utilize those things is the person you borrowed money from. So why would I put myself in a situation where I don't know what is the big loan my husband has taken or my father or whoever has taken? And what is my involvement there? Like if supposing they take away, then what will happen to me? We always say, what one of my favorite things is to say, visualize yourself instead of sitting comfortably and thinking, this is how life is. Put yourself in a tough situation. What
I
if
guess
some
people don't want to imagine in a negative situation.
Yes.
That's
In
probably.
fact, I was coming to that point, saying a lot of it is around the negative situation, which is say, why do I take health insurance? Because I might fall ill. Why do I take life insurance? Because I might be no more. Why do I put aside money for an emergency? I might face some difficult problems. So these things are negative. Or why do I need to write a will? Because I might die. All
Yes.
things which are negative, and we are always thinking that it's not okay to discuss these negative things or to put them to the front. But COVID has actually shaken us up, no? If you see,
Mm.
COVID has shaken us up and shown us how important it is for us to be better planned. If nothing else, at least be aware. That is the first step, is what I would suggest to anybody, including a person, people who've never kind of been a part of the financial decisions. Decisions come later. First is being aware of what all I have, what all I owe, what all I own. What is it that my life is going to be like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, to think in that short, medium, long term. That would be my first suggestion.
All right. What about women who are working in offices outside homes? Do you find them they are much more financial savvy, tech savvy probably, but financially aware? Do they do that, or even in them, even among them, do you find that a lot of people just earn, save, and just it's there in the bank account, and the rest of the decisions is for someone else, the partner at home?
In one word answer, yes, you're right. That's the second part is correct. So a lot of women who are working also, again, I think some of it goes back to the fact that we multitask. I come back from work, but I still might have to do something in the kitchen. I might have to take care of the children's homework or in-laws, parents, whoever, right? So we are multitasking, and we are also our life is different today, right? Different from earlier times when things were a little more cushy, I would say, in a way. If you see it today, there's so much to do, so much we want to do. We want to travel, or we want to buy something, or we want to spend time just going out to a restaurant, or doing so many things. The point is, because I'm handling so many of this, and I already have the job, I'm saying it's okay, yaar. I mean, the man in my life knows what to do, so he might as well continue doing that. And I found, in fact, I mean, I don't want to say who it is, but there is a very senior level person in the field of science, doing very complex math, who said, "Oh, finance is very difficult." And I was like, you are cracking problems for the world. And if you say that, what would happen to us? And then I had to kind of say, it's not math. You have Excel sheets, you have calculators for math today. Finance is not math anymore. Finance is basic knowledge, basic awareness, so that you know what to do. And in India, no, actually, India, I shouldn't say only in India, but across the world, if people have followed what's happened in 2008, you'll know that across the world, people have fallen prey to a lot of mis-selling. People have fallen prey to bad products, bad. They might have taken the wrong decision themselves, or they would have been sold something wrong. So all the more
You
reason
mean
why.
online scams or online scams or
It's
something
not
else?
just online scams, Reshma. The point is, like, there are a lot of people in the, a lot of everyone's trying to make money, right? And a lot of it is about saying that, okay, some products have been made. Maybe that product is not for you, but the product
Okay,
is something that's getting me very high return. So I'm selling it to you.
okay,
Me as
okay.
an agent or as a finance industry person is probably selling it to you. So in a way, we say that actually we will not blame them, we will blame you, because or ourselves we should blame for the reason that when there is Google and you can just tell the person, hang on, I'm not going to sign the paper yet. Let me read a little more about this. You told me 10 points, but they probably are 10 more points I need to know. And I need to see if it fits what my requirement is. We always say, like, say, Reshma, you're a woman, I'm a woman. Maybe if we could be the same age, we might have the two kids too, but our goals and dreams are very different. Our financial situation is different. Our obligations are different in life. So why would you just go with someone told me to buy this XYZ?
Okay. Okay.
So that's what I meant, saying that be aware.
I really like this conversation because I find myself absorbing so much. I hope a lot of people out there get to understand as well and watch it now and later as well. Okay, we before I go to my next question, let me just inform everyone that in case you have questions, please post it. So we have Ramya over here asking. I don't know whether you can see it. I'll read it out to you. Please
I can see.
enlighten us about investing in equity if risks outweigh benefits or otherwise. You want to take it now?
Okay. Yeah. So I can. So equity is something. There are a couple of aspects to it. Okay. So equity is something which we say is that first get your foundations in place and then get into direct equity. If you're talking about investing in the stock market, there are
Yes.
certain basics that you require in your financial planning, which has to start with the protection layer, which is about having an adequate emergency fund, having, say, COVID is a good reason why we all know we all need emergency fund, right? Suddenly there were job losses, suddenly there was a lockdown, and suddenly, like, there was so much uncertainty. And today expenses have shot up, and maybe, pay cuts also have happened and things like that. So we are saying first get your foundation in place and then move to the equity markets, unless that's of course a job you're doing, which is you're a trader and you're a person who's in the market, because equity markets require some basic understanding. And that basic understanding is why, again, that has a few basics that you need to know, then you can work from there. And second point is, if your basics are in place and I just want to have fun, oh, Zomato IPO has come out, let me put in money, or there's a cryptocurrency I want to put in money, all that is second step. So if you want to do, I'm not saying not to do. What we never say no to anything. Only thing we say is you think through whether this is the time for you. Will you be okay if there's a loss? For example, cryptocurrency fell by, I think, $10,000 once. Can we bear that? Equity markets fell by 30% last year in March. Are we okay if our stock, we put in 10,000 and that 10,000 becomes 7,000? Are we okay? We need to ask, because stock markets are like this, right? So nothing wrong in putting, but yes, if I've got my emergency fund, my insurance, all my required amount of investments, then I can go. I don't mind losing that 3,000 rupees. Then it's
So do
fine to
they
get.
approach a financial planner or they attend a workshop from you and they can do it on their own?
My
How does
suggestion is to first get those basics right from either a financial planner or by attending our sessions or even reading online, or there are enough YouTube videos also about it. What is the first thing you require, which is an emergency fund? Second thing you require is insurance. So things like that, it's all there online. So once you know that, or the second way of investing, if you're like really, getting kind of, enthused about the stock market and you want to invest, is we say take out a percentage that will not pinch you. So today I have 10,000. If I lose,
yes.
that 10,000, I don't mind it. If I lose 5,000, I don't mind it. So let me just
Mhm.
put that money, but not touch the basics. Let me not dig
Mhm.
into my basics. That is the crucial part. But unfortunately, what's happening is without this basic planning, a lot of people are getting into this because they're getting driven by what's in the newspaper, in the on
And
new in the news, what could be the current rate, what could, like, Zomato IPO. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Zomato, there's nothing wrong with the IPO. I mean, there's no nothing, but is it for me? Is the question which you should ask. That is what I would suggest to Ramya.
you also mentioned in one of the blogs, which I found very interesting, considering 20 years ago, probably, gold was considered such a good investment. Probably it still is. I'm not sure on that, but you mentioned it as it's more of ornamental, and also on housing as well. A lot of people get into this debt two working professionals, husband and wife, both are working and they get into this. Both these investments, little bit, if you can highlight whether it's good, whether it should be done in a limited quantity, or how does one go about it?
So there's gold and there's housing you're speaking about, right? So first is about gold. I'll say gold in India is a very ornamental investment as of now, right? All of us want to wear it. Largely, we want to wear the thing, or we buy at weddings to pass it on to daughter-in-laws or daughters and things like that. So that is changing. There are other digital ways of investing in gold, and you can invest through gold bonds and things like that. So be clear what you're buying the gold for. So if it's ornamental, then just stick to that. Second thing is,
Okay.
if you're looking at returns, of course, there are much better returns from other investments. So look at what the returns are. What are you investing that money for? So there is, we tell people in our sessions that always look at it. There is a short-term expense you have, there is a medium-term expense you have, and there's a long-term expense. Like short-term can be something like buying an iPhone. The next iPhone being launched, I want that iPhone. So that's my short-term expense. Medium term could be like, I want to go, COVID finishes, I want to go on this long holiday, or I want to, probably buy something. And long term can be either owning a home or child's education, for example. Child's education, we know, is an 18-year thing that you need to pay for school 18 years, but at 18, there's a lump sum. And of course, the famous or the much ignored by women aspect is retirement. It's today 30, 40 years that we need to plan for retirement, unlike earlier times, because life expectancy has gone up today.
We
So first, just
conveniently forget about it, retirement. We
yeah, because it's
conveniently.
not part of our conversations, Reshma. It's not part of a conversation, right? And again, it goes back to someone else's planning for me. So I don't need to think, but women outlive men. That's
Huh.
something we forget. So saying basically that, see, first is what I need to do is understand what am I buying this gold for. If you want to wear it, wear it. That's it. And by chance anything happens, yes, it is there to sell. But it's not to be looked at as an investment when you buy an ornamental thing, because they're making charges and various things. When you sell it, what happens, and GST and stuff like that. So be clear on that. And that is true of any investment actually. When you're putting in money into anything, just be clear what you are doing it for. Second aspect, when it comes to real estate, what we say is real estate is a global dream for everybody. We discovered through our international sessions that in other countries too, everybody wants to own a home. Okay, and to
Okay.
stock market, the crash which happened in 2008 was very much linked to the real estate market, right? So we are saying that, yeah, it's nice to own a home, but what you need to ask yourself is a few questions. Like first question is, how old am I? If I'm in my 20s, a real estate loan is going to kind of be there with you for 20, 25 years. So are you taking on a loan a little too early for a house which, when you are in 20s, your life is not set as yet, right? You might go abroad, you might just move a city, you might get married and have one more person, you might have two kids, you might decide to have parents over staying with you, in-laws staying with you. Is that house enough for you? House is not a liquid asset where you can just sell and go buy another one. You don't do
Yes.
that, right? So you're saying, and you can't do that also with all the paperwork involved. It's a big process rather. No, you can't do it. So saying that when I'm a little more settled in life, which is usually we say when you're around 35, 40, between 35 and 45 is when you're a little more sure of life. So I know how many kids I want to have. I know which city I want to live, largely at least. Okay. I know whether my parents are going to be dependent on me. They're going to move in with me. My in-laws are going to move in with me. All these, I have a job here. Say, for example, we are in Bangalore. If I'm living in North Bangalore, if I find a job, say in Banargata Road when I'm in my 20s, and I have a house in North Bangalore, it's going to be a nightmare for me to travel all the way there. So when I say that, people say, but I want to, take it up as an investment. I'll get good returns. Have you checked out the returns? Have you actually weighed out this? I'm paying this much rent, and this is how much my interest is. Have you weighed out? The rental yields are just 2 to 3%. You'll get more
Mm-hmm.
money if you put it in an FD, and
Okay.
you're also paying interest, which is
Mm-hmm.
can be a killer even though interest rates have come out. So it's not to say don't buy or nothing. Just ask yourself questions whether it is the correct time for you. Can you afford that loan? Do the math. Don't do it in your head. Put it on the paper. There are enough Excel sheets online, apps online. Do the math and check if the house, if you're ready to buy a house, because it's a 20-year commitment, not because of anything else. There are so many additional expenses, Reshma. We know, right? Something will be leaking somewhere. Then you'll have some maintenance issues and other additional costs that we don't account for. Put all that down. So we explain this a little more in detail and take a more informed decision. That's the only thing. Don't get driven by either the industry or the finance, the fact that interest rates are low now, let me run and buy it. It's what situation you are in, which is more important, not what situation the industry is in. That's the question
Probably
to
do
ask.
more research rather than just
Absolutely.
planning in your head and
It's
work it
not
out.
just the planning, Reshma. So we find that, see, it's like, why do we have advertisements? Is it's not only for a product to be, for you to be aware of a product, right? It's to lure you to buy it.
Yes.
Correct. So if I'm trying to I do a lot of advertising, and I'll do marketing, and I'll do everything to try and convince you you need this product. So we all have the, what the youngsters say, FOMO thing, right? Oh man, everybody is going for it, let me
Go
also
for
go,
it.
right? But we are the ones paying that EMI. Everybody is not paying it. So we get driven by looking at, say, a beautiful ad of, I mean, I also want a lovely house which has a garden and maybe a swimming pool, and all these ads which have, a little family which is running around in the garden, the kids are playing around, and there's a little dog, also cute looking dog there. It's advertising. That is their job. But is it time for you to actually, I mean, are you in that situation? Are you someone who can actually keep paying off that EMI? Are you someone who's not going to move from here and say, okay, listen, this is my final house? Some of those questions will help us say, okay, if not now, maybe 5 years later, I'll buy it. So when you say that, the other thing you can do, which is a good thing that people in our sessions we say it, and some people have said that's an excellent idea, is start putting aside. Just assume you've taken the loan, and you have to pay off, say, 10,000 every month, for example. Start putting aside that same 10,000 into a RD, FD, or into some investment. So when you do that, you reduce your principal also, right? And the
Absolutely.
first few years are a killer when it comes to the interest rate for paying off your home loan. So think of it like that, that you just need to be a little better planned when you buy a
How,
house, and it's not something you can do like that.
how do people reach out to you for workshop or anything? Is there an email ID you can share?
Yeah, it's basically Preetha at pifservices.in. So, and also my LinkedIn. Shall I just put it in the chat box?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn too. So anyone can reach me on LinkedIn at Preetha Wali is my LinkedIn ID.
Okay.
So anyone is welcome to write in, and we
Yeah. If
organize
anyone
sessions
has
for
more
all.
questions, please do ask. I do have a couple of more questions for Preeta. Meanwhile, Ash is typing it out. I don't know if it's come, or probably I can't see it though.
I've
Okay.
put it, Reshma.
Okay.
Oh,
Probably we can view it later. And that's not a problem. We can even comment later on it.
okay.
Okay. Coming to my next question, what would be the basic things that one needs to know? Like bank accounts, if a will is done or registered, what are the things that one needs to have a checklist on if one is really, planning? I need to know about the family, what the finances. So, what is it that they need to go about?
Okay, so first thing is to start off by understanding what are the assets and liabilities, like I said. And second step is also, and along with it, rather, not second step, is to understand what is the income in the family and what is the expense. So
Okay,
income would be, it can be just you have not just the salary or business income, but it can also be something in terms of, maybe you've rented out a house and you're getting the rents and things like that, right? Dividend income and things like that. First, being aware of the income and the, expenses. Expenses, ideally, it might sound like a boring exercise, but if you do it once or twice, then you at least get a perspective on what is it that you're spending on, where does your interest lie, or where is the leak in the ship types, okay? Saying
yes,
that, you See, one example that my partner Anu likes to take is earlier we pre-COVID we all went to the theaters which were in the malls, right? From the time you park your car, the expense kicks in, right? Till the time you unpark that car and leave. So the popcorns and the movie ticket, everything actually can work out. A family of four can work out some 2K plus.
2K plus, yes.
Yeah, and there are movies releasing here, there, for movies for the kids, movies for the parents, things like that, family movies, and so many things. It's not nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, be clear. That's where your expenses are. Is it an entertainment? We eat out a lot today, or we call in through our Swiggy and Zomatos, right? So, is that a large chunk of your expense? So, what is it? You just need to know. It's as simple as that. So, what are your main expenses? Then move to seeing whether do I have an emergency fund. So like again what I said in the beginning, picture yourself supposing there is an emergency situation, say there is a job loss. Let's take the worst case scenario, the one of the worst case scenarios, which is a job loss. If there's a job loss in the family, say even if I'm not the breadwinner, let's say there's a job loss, what will we do? Our children's school fees are not going to stop, our rents
Absolutely.
are not going to stop. Our EMIs don't stop. We have to eat food. So there has to be that money which lets you continue life for a few months, right? Because you don't know when you'll get the next job. Or even if somebody is between jobs, for example, maybe two
Yes.
months later is when you are taking up your new job. What will I do for 2 months?
So what
Do
do we, I mean, is it 10 months of emergency fund or 6 months? How does one
So
plan?
we say earlier we used to say 3 to 6 months, but COVID has shown 3 to 6 months is a very short period actually, right? Now it's COVID is raging for almost 2 years now, 1.5 years plus. So we are saying ideally, depending also on the industry the person is in, say for example, airline industry, hospitality industry took a real beating. Sadly, a lot of people lost their jobs there. A lot of people had to take pay cuts across many industries. And we also know of companies we worked with where there have been very big cuts where things have concerned. Small businesses had to shut down. So suddenly a business shuts down. What would you do? So ideally, we say about 8 to 12 months today. While it's sounding like a large number, if you start going at it today, saying that, okay, 8 to 12 months of my monthly expense, man, that's a lot of money. Yes, it is a lot of money, but think of it like we call it like, the freedom money or the oops money, saying that something goes wrong. I don't need to, get flustered or run and take a loan, which can be even more disastrous, or keep swiping my card where credit cards loans are very high, interest rates are very high. So saying instead, I have something to fall back on. So demonetization actually is a good time to understand how women were actually prepared with an emergency fund. If you remember all that money which came out of cupboards of all the women in the household, we already are a little bit more careful by saying that what if something happens, I have something somewhere to use it. Maybe the child needs to be rushed to the hospital and the husband is not there, so I have that money to take it. Something like that has probably made us put it away, right? So saying that is your emergency fund. So have an emergency fund. Then look at insurance. Again, that's a protection layer. Insurance is not an investment. We keep kind of, like a stuck record saying it some 100 times. Insurance is not an investment. Emergency fund is not an investment. They are both in case something happens. And we have to be prepared. If the breadwinner is no more, there is life insurance. If something happens, health, COVID doesn't have to be the reason, but pre-COVID, say dengue, from a child to an old person, anybody could get dengue. From a rich to a, we all know Yash Chopra died of dengue, right? So dengue is something which can be, expense in a hospital can be about 1 lakh. Where am I going to get the money from? I might dig into it by swiping my credit card. Instead, I have insurance. So, saying health insurance is a must for everybody in the family. But the other aspect that I'd like to bring in here is a lot of people have life insurance and they think that is more important. Life insurance is only if you have dependents. Unfortunately, a lot of people buy life insurance for their children and not the members who are not earning in the family. Life insurance is only if you are the earning member, and if something happens to you, the family might suffer. Life insurance is for the family. If I am no more. But health insurance is for all. So that's
Okay.
the next step that I would suggest. Then put down your goals. What's my short, medium, long term goal? One big mistake women make is not to account for retirement. Like I said, life expectancy, while the headlines tell you is 5 years more than men, 70 is men and 75 is women. But if you just look at maybe your grandparents or something, like my grandmother passed away last year, she was 90. Today, 90, 95, 100 is a given also sometimes, right? We have better health care, we've got maybe some money to take care of ourselves. And so we are living longer today. So saying the fact that plan for a good 30, 35, 40 years also, because if you have more money, you can pass it on to whoever you want to when you're no more. But when you're 80 and you don't have money, what will you do? That's a question to ask yourself again. What would you do if you don't have money at 80 or 90? You become dependent. The other thing is to be aware of your rights. There are few things as women we are not aware of our rights, and we think, the law will be on our side, so things will work out. That is not true. There are cases where if you've signed somewhere, for example, there's nothing much you can do about it. You signed it, you're educated, you signed it, so the court is going to probably take up for the person who took the signature from you. Divorce cases going up. Why not know my legal rights? And the other important aspect is, if I know, like there's one of our favorite sayings is, when you educate a man, you educate a man. When you educate a woman, you educate an entire generation, because women tend to pass on. So if you get to know, you can inform why only your daughters, even your sons about it, because even sons might not be aware. So things like that. There's a lot more, Reshma. I can keep talking about this the whole day, but yeah, this would be the first steps.
All right. Coming to my last two questions. If somebody had to give something, that was one, again, another article or blog, I don't know about you, where you've penned it or something like that. I read where you're saying that, instead of just a gift, why not think of something like a mutual fund or SIP or something like that. So, if one has to go for the first basic savings or anything, you're saying today that please read up. Is that the first step?
Yeah. Yeah, read up
Okay.
and listen. There, even if you don't read, one of my favorite ways of listening, knowing what's happening, because I like to understand various. There's a lot in the finance industry, and I don't know a lot of it. I know only the basics, so I like to keep hearing. Listen to the videos. There are many good videos on YouTube. So listen to those videos. So like when I'm cooking, I like to leave the the YouTube channel on, and I'm listening to that. When I'm doing some other work, I'm listening to it. So constant, there are enough good videos which will explain. So that would be the first step. And like you said about the point on gifting, so we are telling people today, instead of gifting the traditional way, say a gold and a house and all, nothing wrong with that, please continue doing it. But why not put some money, say, into insurance? When your child turns 18, put some money into insurance, or 20, 18 or 20. Maybe the child is first, my son has got his first job, I want to give him something, let me put a sum into an account where it will help him. I buy him a mutual fund. I buy him, say, maybe it could even be one of these PPFs or any such thing which will help him later. How much would anything else help you? I mean, you give a iPhone today, I don't see, it's a temporary thing. Again, not to pass judgments on people who do that, but just to say, just think a little, a long term, think more differently from the traditional ways. Then it's a good thing. Say you go for a wedding, a very close friend's daughter's wedding, okay, or son's wedding. Why would you want to give just a little, maybe a gold earrings or something? Instead, gift a mutual fund. They can continue paying it. You have the method, SIP method, where you can pay every month or every quarter. They can continue paying it. Kickstart an SIP for them. That's the little change that we are trying to do. You can give even gold, but add this also, so that they start they start their marriage life on the right foot, because everybody needs to start investments very early, right?
Absolutely. Right from knowing whether, you as the woman of the house, you are mentioned as the nominee in the bank accounts and so many things, so much to be aware of. I think this, topic can go on and on. Probably anything you want to say as a, message in the before we wind up for everyone.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot I'd like to say, but I'll just try and stick to two, 3 points which we typically hear from during our sessions, which people are not immediately aware of. That I would request people after I speak to them, after I mention the points, to definitely go and chat with the family or just Google first, probably. Go and check the definition of a nominee. What would, if I ask people to say who is a nominee, typical answers would be that the nominee is the person who inherits the asset. That's not true. In a lot of cases it is not true, where a nominee is a person who only is a custodian, which basically means that the person, if I'm the bank, once the person is no more, the account holder is no more, I'm passing on the money to the nominee so that the nominee passes it on to the legal heirs.
Okay.
It does not mean the nominee is getting the money.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So in a lot of assets, that is one of the our laws. I could say our systems are still to be fine tuned to be much more investor friendly than we think. Laws as well as some of the things in the finance industry. Second thing, besides nominee, I would say go and check your insurance papers in case you've put anything unknowingly. Supposing there is a mistake, it could be something as silly as your door number is wrong. It could be something, your Aadhaar card number is wrong. Something as small as that, a spelling mistake. That is
Okay.
enough for you to, have a huge headache running around trying to get your money. There are times if people have lied on the forms, they don't get the money. Say you've been putting money for 10 years and you've got a decent corpus in your insurance. When you go 10 years later, you might not get it because probably you have lied in the form saying, okay, my premiums will go down. So let me just say there's no diabetes in the family because I don't have diabetes now. But
Okay.
it's a digital world. And insurance companies can find out, and they will find out before they give you money. Especially if it's a larger chunk, they're definitely going to wonder why you're taking this large chunk. So they will do their background checks and say you lied to us, so I'm not giving the money back to you. So you might not get it back, or you might just end up getting back a small sum, or you might just be running around for it. And say, for example, if the person is no more in the family, you're grieving already. Why would you? I mean, how? And they have a time period within which you have to go and put in the papers and all. What
Yes.
a headache. Can you just put yourself in that position and see what a headache it is for us? Might as well honestly put down everything, all the details, check our details, because many times we just sign off the papers without, checking the details. We tell the agent, okay, you fill the papers. I'm fine because I feel, oh, Reshma, I know you well, so I'll fill it for you. You don't do, you just sign the paper. But the thing is, once you've signed the paper, you have to run around between the insurance company and you and the insurance company. It's no longer the agent there. So that's again the other point I would request people to go and check. And the last point is, even women require to write a will. It's very easy to write a will. You can sit here and write a will for the simple reason that if you write a will, you pass on your assets to the people that you want to pass it on to. So, say for example, if you don't write a will, it goes as per the Succession Act. If you're a
Yes.
Hindu, Hindu Succession Act. If you're a Christian, it's a Christian succession. Otherwise, if I want to write a will, say supposing I want to give something back to my parents itself, because COVID times now, anything can happen, right? So I want to give something to my parents. How do I give it to my parents? I have to write a will for that. Otherwise, women typically, most things get passed on to the husband side. So you need to
Oh.
check. You need to check all that also. There's lots of ifs and buts around it. It's not so black and white like I said it, but this is just to. I'm saying it to just kind of caution you, saying if you're no more, your assets need to be passed on as per what you want. Maybe I want to give something to my friend. I want to give something to charity. All this will not happen if I don't have a will. So
And
just
it
go by.
needs to be registered. needs
Not
to be registered?
required, not required, but if you're expecting a dispute, it's always better to register it. You can just write it with your hand and, have two witnesses, and there are a couple of ifs and buts around it. Once you complete that, it's all online. You can go and check that you need two people as witnesses and things like that. Once you check it, it's as simple as sitting down here and writing the will. But the thing is that if you expecting some dispute, or if you just for safety's sake, just to prevent any kind of hanky panky, it's better to register it. That does not mean people can't dispute it. Dispute will happen, but it just makes it that much tougher because it is registered. Things like that, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Preetha. This was very informative. Thank you for taking time for Mums and Stories and talking to us. And I hope if anybody has questions, if they have one last question, they can ask Preetha, or we are winding it for now. And you can reach Preetha. We've mentioned it on the comments as well. You can reach her on the email ID. Thank you. Thanks, Preetha.
Thanks, Reshma. Thanks, everybody. See you all. Bye.
See you.